My stepson wants my money but says he'll always hate me and cut us off. I'm 39 and have been married to Emily, 38, for 12 years. She has a son, James, 17, with his dad, Dan. Emily left Dan after he was unfaithful, and they split 50-50 custody. I met Emily a year later. Soon Dan married the affair partner, and Emily and I married too. James never bonded with me. I pushed too hard at first, saw it backfire, and backed off. We settled into polite distance. Emily and I have 3 kids, 10, 7, and 4. James doesn't connect with them. He isn't mean, he just stays away, and our older 2 avoid him when he's home. Early on, we set college funds. Last week, Emily showed James his fund. I'd put 80% toward our 3. Emily would put 20% for them and fund 100% of James's account, since we didn't know if Dan had saved. The goal was to make sure James had something. He looked relieved. He spent the weekend at Dan's, came back, asked about our kids' totals, learned those were higher, and got angry. He said I'd played pretend family while refusing to support him, called me heartless, and said I never cared. Emily suggested shifting some money from our youngest's fund to James and replacing it over time, but said it was my call. I didn't want to. James has idolized his dad for years and shut down every bridge we tried to build. He refused family therapy because he said I wasn't his family. Before we met again, I owned my early mistakes. I told Emily I knew I'd come on too strong when James was little. I also asked how the amounts got compared. She said James asked if his number was bigger. Without thinking, she corrected him with the real totals. It was a careless answer that became a fight. Then the 3 of us sat down. James didn't want to talk, but I said if he expected me to add money, I needed to know what he believed and why. He crossed his arms. Emily set her phone face down and said, "Let's hear each other." The chair squeaked when he leaned back. The vent hummed. A wall clock ticked too loud. I could see a ring of water beneath my glass. James tapped his foot. "Start wherever you want," I said. "Please continue." "Did Dan ever promise help with tuition?" I asked. His phone lit up. He flipped it face down and said no. After the split, Dan moved in there. James said that even before the breakup, Dan took him to the other woman's place, so he knew that house. Emily had to scramble to work and make a stable schedule. In those months, Dan told James that Emily would come back. When I arrived, Dan told James I was the reason she wouldn't. He said Dan's new marriage was temporary and meant to make Emily jealous, and that our wedding was me locking the door. Later, when James heard why the relationship really ended, he asked both parents. Emily told the truth. Dan gave a softer story and said he felt alone and made a mistake while Emily was away helping her parents. James chose to forgive him. James said that when Emily got pregnant with our daughter, Dan told him our baby meant his old family was gone for good. He used crude words. Dan also claimed our push for counseling was a trick to get James labeled so we could dump him at a boarding school and play happy home without him. Dan said only his side was fighting for James. James admitted he leaned into that story. He stayed distant in our home and extra cheerful with Dan's family so Emily would see a split and leave me. As more kids arrived, he felt it was impossible to go back. He kept his distance from our kids on purpose. I asked about money on Dan's side. James said the other woman's parents set up trusts for Dan's younger sons, but not him. Dan hasn't saved for anyone. James said he'd been okay with Emily's number until Dan told him he was being undercut, so he came back to demand more. I asked him straight, if I add money now, does that make us family in any way? If not a stepfather, can I at least be a steady adult he can talk to? Can he try to be decent with my kids when he's around? He said no. He said he knows we're not the villains he was told we were, but he still blames me for blocking his parents from getting back together and plans to always hate me for that. He said that once he leaves for college, he'll cut contact with all of us. Maybe someday he'll talk to his mom again when he's ready to forgive her for breaking up the family, but not now. Emily covered her face and took a slow breath. I sat there quiet. The room felt very small. I told him my decision. I will not add to his fund. Emily will keep contributing what she planned and will hand it to him when he turns 18. We won't push therapy on him. We won't beg him to visit or to be close to our kids. If he wants distance, he can have distance. James stared at me, looked at Emily and said, "So that's it?" Emily said, "That's it for now. Now my family are saying I'm cold for refusing his college money. Was I wrong?"